What is One Health Approach? Why there is a rise in Babesia parasitic infection amongst Asiatic lion? And post-COVID, what Government of India in particular and WHO are doing with respect to zoonotic infection? Let's break it down. Welcome to my channel. I'm Avinash Kumar. I will try to explain the whole thing through newspaper and make it simpler for you to understand the concept. Let's start. So here, the first thing, let's see the newspaper. So here the news says 8 lion cubs die from the suspected Babesia infection in Gujarat. So what we need to understand from a prelims point of view is Babesia is a parasitic disease. This can be asked directly in prelims. Okay. Before also we have seen questions which were asked on Asiatic lion. Just go through those previous year question paper and you'll understand that what type of questions have been asked. But for us, this is the most important thing. It's a parasitic disease transmitted through tick and can cause weakness, fever, coughing, and nasal discharge in the infected animals. According to the last census in 2025, Gujarat has a population of 891 Asiatic lions spread across Gir and adjoining district. Now let's see in detail what all we are going to study. Here, our agenda is to introduction and disease overview, conservation effort and legal framework, institutions, protection areas and global cooperation, human-wildlife interaction and closing. Let's see. So first thing, why wildlife matters. More than a saving animal, healthy wildlife helps ecosystem stable and supports nearby livelihood. Nature loss can increase disease risk for people and livestock. How India acts on conservation. Protection combines species safeguard, habitat security and enforcement. Global cooperation matters, especially trade control under CITES. So here we have to focus on CITES and different schemes and regulations and how NTCA or WII helps in protection. And there are other integrated plans which we need to read about it. Right? So One Health connecting the dots. One Health links human, animal and environment well-being. It encourages joint work across health, livestock, forest and wildlife. So post-corona, what we have seen is there is a increased surveillance where we are focusing on understanding how zoonotic infection can affect human beings, right? So after that, WHO and even Government of India has come up with One Health vision and we are working towards integrated approach. Now let's see about the Babesia basics. Let's understand what it is. Babesia is a tick-borne infection caused by Babesia parasites. The parasite enters and multiply inside red blood cell. So it commonly impacts cattle, wildlife, ungulates, dogs. Humans can also be infected, though it is less common. Typical illness. So fever, weakness, we have already seen in the newspaper, right? The newspaper cutting. So why outbreak spreads? Weak surveillance. Can miss early warning signs. And tick abundance and animal movement can expand transmission, right? So this was about the news. Let's see the conservation efforts and legal framework. So about the saving Asiatic lion, right? Most Asiatic lion live around Gir and core protection on ground, secure habitat and rebuilding prey so lion do not depend on villages. Stronger anti-poaching and regulatory veterinary checks reduce sudden losses, coexistence with connectivity, and we have a relocation plan, Kuno, and there's one more national park. Just if anybody knows, please write it down in the comment section below. Next, there was recently a IBCA summit which was held in India. So I am expecting a question from here in prelims, at least next year. And IBCA covers all the big cats. You can see in this photo, all the big cats are covered. And most important, there are 7 pillars, 1 summit and 1 goal. Save big cats, save ecosystem and save humanity. So what are the pillars? Global cooperation, knowledge sharing, habitat synergy, community power, resource mobilization, peaceful coexistence, and biodiversity protection. See here, please go through the countries which are member countries. Along with that, you can even read Project Snow Leopard, Project Tiger, Project Elephant, all the things which are covered in your environment and can be asked in prelims and mains directly. So let's see what does it say. It is designated to coordinate cross-border action for big cats landscape. It connects habitat protection with community livelihood, and shared enforcement. Cooperation focus areas: anti-poaching operation, intelligence sharing, and legal follow-up. Use common monitoring tools and data standards for population tracking. And why the 2026 summit is important: mobilize predictable financing for habitat management and local incentives, scale technology for surveillance, forensic, and real-time reporting, promote landscape planning that protects corridor beyond protected area. So again, I'm telling you, there are countries, I think there are 13 countries, and even there are guest countries which take part in this summit. Please go through it. Definitely there can be a question in prelims. Now, what is One Health Approach? So as I've told you, post-COVID pandemic, WHO had released One Health Approach concept, and even country like USA, China, and like India also, we are working on One Health management approach, where we are not just talking about human beings, but it's an integrated approach where we include human beings, animals, plants, environment as a whole, right? So it's an integrated approach where we protect everything around us. So what One Health means: it links people, animal, ecosystem to manage shared risk. It targets zoonosis, safer food system, and healthier environment together. Why it matters now? Post-COVID prevention is prioritized over reacting to new outbreaks. It is crucial where wildlife, livestock, and human interact closely. So this is why it matters. One Health Approach. You can mention this in your answers directly. What India must coordinate: public health, animal husbandry, forest wildlife, and local bodies must align, share surveillance, rapid response, reduce spillover and spread, integrated government action, cross-sector planning supports disease control without harming conservation goals, joint training, data sharing, and field protocol makes action practicable. Now let's see the institutions, protection areas, and global corporations. Here, we'll be reading about NTCA, WII, what is national park, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, and other things. So here I've just made a small differentiation between how the NTCA and WII differs in their functioning. So first thing, NTCA, the core role is policy oversight and monitoring. So typical outputs: reserves, standards, advisories, and reviews; improves protection and compliances. Funding coordination, supports to reserves, protection measures, and boost field capacity. What about WII? Research and conservation science. So basically the research is done by the WII. Ecology studies, population input, guidance, evidence-based decisions, training and technical supports is given by WII. Then courses, tools, field methods, strengthen frontline skills, and jointly, like together, joint conservation delivery, science-backed plan monitoring, faster and more durable recovery. So recently, I think DNA-based counting was done. For elephants. Already in civil services, in prelims, EMS type was asked. So this was done for tiger to count the population, right? And we are also using now AI, cameras, thermal cameras, and AI, and even DNA-based countings. Okay. Now protected areas. First protected area, national park, strict habitat protection with very limited human use allowed. Focus on keeping ecosystem undisturbed for wildlife survival. So here you can understand there will be a species-related protection. Wildlife sanctuary protection is strong, but some regulated activities may continue. Management is more flexible to balance conservation and local needs. So a little bit, if I have to compare both the national parks and wildlife sanctuary, this is more strict. And you can understand this is a little bit lenient. Biosphere reserve. What is biosphere reserve? Combines conservation with sustainable livelihood and learning. Often contains national park or sanctuaries within a wider zone. So a biosphere reserve can have multiple national parks and wildlife sanctuaries within itself. So now what is most important, what we need to read is UNESCO map reserves. So this talks about biosphere reserves. They link nature protection with learning, research, sustainable livelihood. They act as living laboratories for balancing people and ecosystem. India, in the network, world network, India has 13 biosphere reserves recognized in the UNESCO. Now, all these 13, you need to remember for prelims. I think there was one question on Agastmalai and the biosphere reserve, which all national park and wildlife sanctuary does it have. So you need to read all these 13 biosphere reserves. There are more. These are designated under UNESCO. There are, I think, around 18 or 20. I'm not sure right now. I think 18. But 13, you need to understand which 13 are this. This can be asked directly in prelims. And then how biosphere reserve is zoned. There's a core area, there's a buffer area, and then there's a transition zone. So core, total protection given, and usually it has a national park. Then you have a buffer zone, and then finally you have a transition zone, right? You need to learn about this. Next, let's see laws. Next laws is Wildlife Protection Act. Now, Wildlife Protection Act was amended in 2022. The earlier act was Wildlife Protection Act 1972, right? Here, what are the changes which was brought in 1972 to 2022? 4 schedules have been included. Earlier there were 6 schedules. Now we have only 4 schedules, right? Clear protection, tougher deterrence, site compliance. This is most important. One of the schedule talks about sites compliance. Trade permits, new authorities, controls global wildlife trade, trade licensing rules post 2022, new licensing criteria, improves oversight and compliance load. And under the Constitution, they are covered at 2148, right to life, in environmental duty, supports conservation in court, and citizen duty. Under fundamental duty, under 51A, duty to protect nature. And also, 42nd Amendment Act had brought some changes. It made wildlife protection and forest areas under which list? Please tell me in the comment section below. Next, let's see human-wildlife interaction. And now what we are talking about is human-animal conflict. This can be asked in mains. We have already seen there's a lot of death. Recently there was an elephant which died. And there are other animals also which keep on dying because of continuous interaction between humans and animal, right? So why conflict increases? Habitat fragmentation, the most important thing, right? Pushes animal into farm, roads, and settlements. Crop damage and livestock losses raises fear and local retaliation risk. Unsafe encounter grows when waste and water attracts wildlife nearby. So I was going through one of the article which talks about in Kerala how they had tackled those man-animal conflict. So elephants used to come in their field a lot. So what they started doing was they started providing them the leeway, the path to go, and moreover they started planting turmeric. And most of the animals, they shy away from eating the turmeric part around, like if this is the area, let's say I have grown everything here. So people started planting turmeric here as to protect the boundaries. And this has protected the whole agricultural field, right? So what could be done here? What works on ground? Use early warning and rapid response team to prevent escalation, ensure fast, fair compensation, apply fencing, safer storage, and herd protection wherever suitable. And there's one more project we have with respect to elephant. Just go through this also. Then long-term coexistence, secure corridor, and recover prey to reduce risk, animal movement. Involve local communities in planning, monitoring, and benefit sharing. Measure success by coexistence, not only enforcement and removal. And finally, we come to an end. But more than this, you need to read everything in detail. That is what I would urge you to do. And I'm starting my online classes, which I'm taking every day. And right now, polity and economy is going on. So feel free to connect with me to understand how to complete these topics. And my classes, the advantage here is that I don't charge hefty fees. I don't have to charge those amount because I know how it feels for the students who wants to learn. So what I do is I charge monthly basis. I'm only charging 5,000 per month, so that if anybody wants to complete one portion, he can complete it and then can leave and he can learn from home rather than going to Delhi or any other cities, metropolitan cities, where you have to spend lakhs of money on your coachings and stay, food. It's better that you learn from me and clear this exam. And for any other doubt, please contact me on this number. Thank you.